Good afternoon, everyone. You wouldn't believe it. I had the standpipe too high, and I should know better. I mean, I've owned this bed for what, 8 years? Anyway, I'm Gero and welcome to Gendera. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to show you what I've done because I made a mistake. So you may have seen in my previous video that I'd had this bed set up and I had it so it's draining, and I was seeing how high it was, and this is actually the standpipe I had in here. Now it's not a huge bout higher, but it's enough higher so it made it so that I couldn't actually get the clay balls high enough. So although it only comes to about there, that was still too high and I really needed it to be lower. So now I've got a new, and the other thing is my shroud was also a little bit too short. So I've got another shroud because, I mean, we've got multiple systems, but it makes it really hard because the boys had done a fantastic job filling the bed up. So they'd put the gravel all down the bottom and we had the clay balls on top. It looked fantastic. We've had to take them out. So that was the shroud that I had in there, and it was just too low. Too low. I mean, it was working, and it'd probably be okay now. Actually, it probably will be okay now because I've lowered that standpipe down so much. So now, actually I will put that other shroud in there because it probably will be high enough. Unfortunately, I've got rocks in here now, and I've just spent the last 10 minutes trying to get them all out of the road, and every time you pull one up, it all just falls back down again. It's incredibly frustrating. So yes, but yeah, anyway. So then I've got the bell siphon that sits on top, just happily like that, and everything should be hunky-dory. But I'm going to run the pump again and just see how it all goes and make sure it does what I'm wanting to do before I go filling all these rocks in, because I may have to swap that shroud over. But I'm pretty sure that's the shroud that came with the bed, because this is one of our shallowest beds, so it's got the shallowest shroud. Okay, so I did actually get that to pretty much fill up, and it started draining on me. So I've taken the bell out for now, and I'm waiting for it to fill back up again a little bit. So it's getting close to going over the top, but I've got the fish tank here all set up. I've got the power cord so that it's hanging up, so if any water comes down, it'll run straight down and not cause a problem. This is not the ideal situation for getting water out of the fish tank. Ideally, you really want to have your slow so it's coming out of the middle and not have that bend in it. But I wanted it pretty much in the middle of the tank. So that's going to, a slow is basically a solid lifting outlet. So the idea is it takes all the solids out of the fish tank. But I'm going to have this system very lowly stocked. So I'm only going to have about 20 to 30 fish in it because I'm only going to have 2 grow beds on it, at least until we get a larger sump, or we sort something out with the sump. But so I've got this set up for now, and I'm just filling it up with water from the dam while I'm doing that. So multiple things going on, and we've added some more sea sulphur to it for today. It should be getting close to getting to the top of the standpipe. Oh look, yep, getting very close. I'll stay over this side, and my little helper keeps putting this stool back, and I keep tripping over it. Of course, he keeps tripping over his own feet, which is interesting. Anyway, so now we just got to wait for this to start doing its thing so we can find out where the high tide level is. So before it basically was still bringing water in up at about this height, and that was just way too high. It looks like it's getting to about there, which that'll be perfect because that'll give me enough space above the top of it to have the rocks in there, because you want to have that much or so of your rocks not getting wet, because you don't want to have any of that water seeing daylight basically, because then you're going to have more algae blooming than you want. And algae in aquaponics is not your friend. So yes, as you can see, the clay balls like to float. It's another reason why I like to use the gravel. So it hasn't started to drain yet, so I'll come back when it starts to overflow. So it's just started to overflow now. So that's the height I'm getting with it overflowing the standpipe. So I'm going to pop the bell siphon in very shortly. Okay, so the hubby just had a look and decided no, the 90-degree angle in there was going to slow down the water flow too much, so we've taken that out. And yes, he thinks this is all good, so we're going to put the bell siphon in. So that's what the water's doing at the moment. We'll put the bell in. And the siphon should start reasonably quickly, so it's just going to create some back pressure and to get rid of any air that's in the system. And pretty much the siphon has started. So the water will get a bit higher than that. It's just because I put it in when it was already full, it changed the way everything works. But yes, so that's the siphon going. So now I just got to get all those clay balls back. But I've run out of daylight once again. And I still haven't milked the goat. It's a constant never-ending battle with time. Anyway, I might try and put some of these rocks back in because it shouldn't actually take too long. Most of these, the big ones, I basically just pushed up out of the road. And honestly, that took a lot longer to push them out of the road than it did for me to just put them all back. Like the boys and I were working on this for hours and hours and hours. Okay, I'm exaggerating. It wasn't hours and hours and hours. But it was at least an hour that it took to take that out. But you can always go and have a look at the boys' video as when they build it up with all the clay balls, because this bed is, and that one once we get it set up, are actually going to be there for them to actually do their aquaponics in for the Shed Wars Youth Division. So yes, and they're very excited. We've got plants, got some plants that they're wanting to put in here that they've picked out because they're ones that they like to eat. So, yes, but I'll need to do the rest with two hands, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so it's all done. Yeah, it's not quite as pretty now because I've got some of the 3/4 inch gravel on the top, but that's okay. And the siphon stopped nicely, which is fantastically, and hopefully in the next video I'll be able to show you with some lovely plants planted. The boys and I will probably do that tomorrow, depending on how the day travels. But yeah, really pleased with this. I suspect that water's not flowing anymore. It's just a matter of whether or not, oh no, it's still running. So that's actually gravity fed water from an IBC over there that we filled up from the dam. So yes, it is still running. I don't really want to leave it running overnight though, but I can leave it running while I'm going to go milk the goats. So I'm going to leave you there for tonight, and I will catch you in the next video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and if you've got any comments, questions or suggestions about aquaponics, please leave them in the comments below. Don't you love the hands? Oh. So yeah, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a great one. Bless you.